All right, welcome to this presentation. This is for anyone that may own property or know somebody that owns property that is scheduled to go to some sort of auction. That could be a foreclosure auction, a tax sale auction, HOA auction, doesn't matter. All of the above, any type of foreclosure action, whether it's for payment of back taxes, recoup, delinquent mortgage payments, recoup HOA payments, whatever it is, this presentation applies to all of those. And we want to help those who may be facing that scenario so that they don't end up empty-handed. I'm going to go through this as quickly as possible to respect your time. So let's go ahead and dive right in. If we could offer to help you stay in your house, stop the auction that is pending, and it didn't cost you a dime, would you be interested in learning more? And so in this presentation, we're going to cover, 5 ways to delay an auction. So that can help you, as well as some other alternatives so that you don't lose your property. Okay. Now, disclaimer, I'm not a financial advisor. I am not an attorney. This is nothing in this presentation should be construed as legal advice or tax advice, financial advice, investment advice, any sort of advice. We are simply putting this out there to help those who may be in this situation. And there's no charge. Obviously, we're not charging for this information. It is free information. It is to be used purely for informational purposes and educational purposes. We're not selling anything here. So keep that in mind. With that being said, who am I? So my name is Nick. I've been involved in the real estate industry since 2014. Prior to that, I was a law enforcement officer. I worked at a state prison and was also a probation officer, was also a member of the National Guard and Field Artillery for a time being. And then I left that world of law enforcement and soldiering and started my own business in the real estate industry. You can look up my business right there. It's called Overage Refund Specialists. We help people that have lost their home to an auction, and we help them get money back from the banks or from the counties if it's a tax sale. It's a purely service-based business. We don't charge anything up front for our services. We only get paid if we get our clients results. Okay, so that's me in a nutshell. Now, let's go over why you may be here. Maybe you are facing this problem. Maybe you have a property that you are at risk of losing to an auction. Again, it could be a tax sale auction, foreclosure auction, HOA auction, either of the above. And whenever somebody has a property that has an auction date, there is a significant risk that your property could sell and that you could receive nothing. You could lose everything. All of the payments you've made, all of the equity, it could be lost. Okay. So how do we avoid this problem? Let's talk about that. Here are some tips and some things that you can do to postpone or cancel an auction of your property. Or if you don't own property, but you know someone that fits this, please share this information with them, that it will help them. Okay. Number one, you can always ask the entity to postpone the auction. Now, they could say no, but it never hurts to ask. That's the worst case scenario, is they say no, but in some instances, they will postpone it, and that will give you some time to be able to figure out some solution. Okay. So you can ask, if it's a tax sale, ask the county treasurer's office or tax collector if they will, postpone the tax sale of your property. If it's a bank, ask the law firm representing that bank if they will postpone it. Okay. That law firm is also known as a trustee. And just ask. So that's the first thing. Second thing is, well, pay the loan off. Bring it current. If you can bring the taxes current or bring the debt current or the loan current, and you can continue to make payments, then do that. You may have to, if you can earn some extra money or borrow some money from a family member or a friend, maybe you can refinance. Whatever you can do, find the money to bring the debt current, and that will postpone the auction. or cancel the auction completely. An even better scenario would be to pay off the debt completely. Now, I understand that that may not be feasible, but if it's always possible, there's always a way. You can find a way. Those are the best options to search for, in my opinion. Now, if it's not feasible to say bring the loan current or pay off the loan or the debt completely, try to work out some sort of what's called a forbearance agreement, or it's basically a payback agreement. Okay. They may take the amount that you owe and they'll put it on the back end of the loan, and you can pay that back over time. Now, if you have an auction date, it's probably too late to create an agreement like that, but it never hurts to ask. Another thing you can do if you are if it's a foreclosure from a bank, ask for a loan modification, but be aware that just because you ask for a loan modification or you apply for one, it doesn't mean the bank has to approve it. They can always deny a loan modification application, so make sure you have a plan B. Now, the other thing you can do is you can get a court order stopping the sale. There's a couple options. Again, I'm not an attorney. This is just my opinion and lessons I've learned from my experience over the years. Number one is you can file bankruptcy. When you file a bankruptcy, what happens is you get what is called an automatic stay. Okay. And that basically forces the bank to stop any proceedings, any foreclosure proceedings, and trying to recoup the debt that's owed to them. Now, that stay does not remain in place forever. It'll give you a few months' time. It is not a long-term solution. It is only a short-term solution to the problem, okay? So I think some people think that, oh, if I file bankruptcy, then it wipes out all my debts. Not true. You still have the responsibility to pay that debt, especially if that debt is secured by real estate, okay? So all a bankruptcy does is it buys you some time, but it is not a long-term solution. And of course, it will trash your credit. So be aware of that. Be aware of the consequences. But if, let's say if you have an auction, say in the next 2 days or 3 days, and you haven't filed bankruptcy, you may want to consider that to stop the auction. Second thing you can do is you can file a lawsuit against the lender or the trustee, or basically the bank, okay, challenging the foreclosure, okay? Now, obviously this will cost money. You'll have to hire an attorney. Now, you could try to do it yourself as well. Wouldn't recommend it, but there are some people that do, okay? This will probably only work in states that are non-judicial, where there's no court process for the foreclosure. If you live in a judicial state where there's a court proceeding for the foreclosure, you've probably had multiple opportunities to challenge the foreclosure already. And so it may be too late if you have an auction date. But that being said, if you live in a non-judicial state where the foreclosure is completed outside the court system, you may be able to delay the auction by filing a lawsuit against the bank, and you can challenge the foreclosure. What you'll need to do is you'll need to include what's called a motion for a temporary restraining order and preliminary injunction to stop the foreclosure sale, okay? Now, while your claims are being litigated, they're not going to sell your house at auction. Now, here's the thing though. You have to have a good cause to do this, okay? In order to win this, you need to have some sort of evidence or be able to prove that the bank, say, doesn't own the loan that they're foreclosing on, or they didn't act in compliance with state mediation requirements, or they violated state law, or, homeowner bill of rights laws, any of these things. If you have to prove that the bank didn't follow the foreclosure process as outlined by the law, okay? Now, of course, if you lose, you may have to pay the bank's legal fees that they use to fight your lawsuit. So be aware of that. There's definite risk in that, okay? So lawsuits can be expensive, but they can tie up and postpone your auction date. Another thing you can do is you can sell your home. If you have an auction date, you'll probably want to avoid traditional buyers and realtors. Why? Because the cost to sell may be too high. You're going to pay a realtor at least probably 5 or 6%. Then you've got closing costs and everything on top of that. So the cost to sell a home traditionally is anywhere between 6 and 12%. And if you're selling to, say, a traditional buyer who needs to go and qualify for a loan, they're probably going to need at least 60 days to close on their loan, and you may not have 60 days. So you're probably going to want to sell to someone that has cash. Now, I'm sure you've probably received letters and calls from people offering cash for your home. Just be aware that there are some folks that are not true cash buyers. What they're doing is they will offer to purchase your home for cash, and then they will sell the purchase contract to somebody else, and then they'll try to make a profit on that. So be aware of that. If somebody offers you cash, for your home, and you want to pursue that route, I would just make sure that you collect a large upfront deposit from them. If they are not willing to give you a large upfront deposit, I'd say a minimum of $5,000 or more, then you know that they are not a cash buyer. If they cannot come up with $5,000 deposit, how are they going to come up with cash to buy your home? Just my opinion, but that's a little tip for you. Okay. So those are some ways, guys, that you can postpone or delay your auction date. Hopefully that was beneficial and you learned something and it got the wheels turning for you. Now, obviously there's pros and cons to everything. Obviously, pros, most of these options that we discussed are not long-term options, except for, paying off the loan, bringing it current and continuing to make your payments. Those are long-term. Everything else is just short-term. It just buys you time, but it doesn't solve the problem. And so really the only way to solve the problem is to pay off the debt completely or bring it current and continue making payments on it. But I understand that that's not always feasible. Okay. And so that's some of the cons, is besides paying off the loan or bringing it current or selling, everything else we discussed on this page is just a short-term solution to the problem. Okay. Now, they may not also help you solve your other problems that you may be experiencing. Obviously, selling, that creates a whole nother problem. Well, if you sell, now you have to find a new place to live. Okay. Or maybe the problem is, even if let's say you can bring the loan current, but you can't afford to continue making payments, or maybe the costs to maintain the property are too high. Maybe the HOA fees are too high. Maybe the property taxes are too high, and you simply can't afford the cost to upkeep the property and to continue living in the property. Maybe there's some other issues. Here's what I have found, guys. Foreclosure is often not the fault of the homeowner. It's not your fault. It's usually because something happened. Some sort of life event happened that was outside your control, and you got behind. And I totally understand that. Maybe it was the loss of a job. Maybe it was a medical emergency. Maybe you got sick, or a family member got sick. You had to take care of them. You had to pay hospital bills. I would do the same if my children had some sort of medical issue and I had to make the choice between paying their medical costs or paying my house payment. I would pay their medical bills because I want them to live. And so, sometimes it's the death of a loved one. Okay. It's not foreclosure, like an auction is not always, and most often not always, the result of some sort of financial irresponsibility. It's because something bad happened in life and we just got behind. And I understand that it's not your fault. And so this is another reason why we are creating this presentation, is because we understand this and people just need knowledge to help them get out of maybe the hole that they find themselves in. Now, you may have some other issues that you're dealing with, and perhaps you don't have the time, the money, the energy, or the desire to even deal with the problems associated with this property. Maybe the property that's set for auction is not one that you live in. Maybe it's an investment property. Maybe it's a property you inherited from a loved one that passed away, and you don't want to deal with it. Well, instead of letting it go to the auction, be aware that you have options so that you can actually put some money in your pocket, eliminate the problems, and at least then you don't walk away empty-handed. Okay. Perhaps you're at risk of losing more than just the property. Okay. Maybe you're at risk of going through a divorce, or because of financial situations, whatever it may be. Maybe it's if a property you own or that you inherited is just causing too much stress and hassle, that it's causing other issues in your relationships with maybe your spouse or your children, then maybe it's best to walk away and get some money out of it and just leave it alone. Okay. So these are some problems that you may be facing, may not be facing. Everyone's situation is different. Let's talk about possibilities. Well, let's say that we can get the auction postponed or canceled, or just get it canceled forever. How would that help you? Let's say that the debt of that property and the cost of that property are no longer your responsibilities. They're someone else's problem. How would that help you? Let's say you're completely free of the property. You don't have to deal with it anymore. You're free of its problems. Now you can focus your time and energy on more important issues. Would that be beneficial to you? And let's just say we eliminate the risk of loss completely. Instead, you benefit. You don't lose the property to an auction. You get something out of it. Would that help you? Or you can continue to live in it. How would that help? So what needs to happen to achieve these possibilities? So here's the thing, guys. You have to abide by certain principles, and you have to take knowledge on the action you've gained. I'm going to show you an actual case study of someone that we presented them this information and they decided to do nothing, and what happened. So stay tuned for that. So, but there are options available. Okay. So for example, sometimes we can take over people's debt and we can pay the debt for them for a time, or sometimes we can pay off the debt completely. Okay. Sometimes we can buy the property for cash outright. Okay. Sometimes we partner with people and we defend the foreclosure. Okay. Especially on properties that if you're not living there, you can delay the foreclosure and you can cash flow that property and turn it into a monthly income for yourself. Okay. It just depends on your situation. Now, why would we do this? Why would we pay your debt? Why would we take over debt? Why would we offer cash? Why would we partner with people? I'm going to get into that here shortly. Now, there's a couple ideas you need to keep in mind, a couple principles. Understand that you may have to take one step back in order to go 2 steps forward. Okay. You may have to let go of the property, or you may have to do something that is uncomfortable. When I started my real estate business, we had to sell our first home because we needed the cash to start that business. And that was very uncomfortable because it felt like I was going backwards. I didn't want to sell the property. But the bottom line is I needed the cash to start my business. And so, but had I not done that, had I not taken that one step back, I wouldn't have been able to move forward and create that business that has brought a lot of joy and prosperity to my family. So understand that sometimes you have to take one step back in order go 2 steps forward. Use a lifesaver when needed. You know, guys, if you need help, if you were drowning and you saw a lifeguard, would you not yell for help from the lifeguard? Or would you just sink? Like, if you need help, ask for it. This is something that's very common, is folks will procrastinate and postpone until it's too late. Don't be one of those individuals. If you need help, ask for it. Third principle, don't bring a knife to a gunfight. What does that mean? Look, if you lack resources such as time or money or energy or health or the experience or knowledge, then find someone to handle the situation for you. Don't fight a battle without the proper resources. If you lack time, if you lack money, if you lack the knowledge or the experience, find somebody that has those resources to help you in your scenario. Fourth principle, inaction results in loss. The decision to do nothing is still a decision. So the decision to not act almost always results in a loss. Okay. It's just, if you choose to do nothing, you choose to lose. So make a plan, make a decision, ask for help. We're here to help. We can provide you a free consultation on your options and what is available to you. Okay. So again, I've mentioned these already. Possible solutions that we may be able to offer to put money in your pocket. We can take over your debt. Sometimes we can pay off your debt. We can partner together and fight the foreclosure. If it's a property that's in tax sale or that was sold, but there's a redemption period, we can redeem the property or pay off the back taxes or pay off the HOA debt. There's lots of options available to you. We don't just give money, but we also can provide time. If you're living in the property and you need time to continue living there, that is something that we can do. We can give you time, more time to live in the property. Okay, and I'll get into that more in a minute. Now, I mentioned this, I told you I would come back to this. Why would we offer our help? Here's the bottom line, guys. This is a business, okay? We're not a charity. Why do we offer our help? Because we are going to make a return on either our money or our efforts. That's the bottom line. Let me show you a quick case study. So this property, this was a condo that was set for auction on April 5th, 2022. The backstory of this was they got behind on some HOA payments, okay? Due to COVID, somebody got sick, they had some hospital bills, they paid those bills instead of paying the HOA fees. They got behind, they couldn't catch back up. The husband, he was here on a work visa. Well, his visa expired and he had to go back to Venezuela. He left his wife and his kids behind in this condo in Florida. They owed approximately $10,000 to HOA. Our offer to them was to pay off the HOA so that the auction would be stopped and they could pay us back over time. They would stay in the property. They would continue to live there and they would simply pay us back. Here's what ended up happening. They never responded. The house went to auction and it sold for $151,000. And whoever bought it, the investor that bought it at auction, they'll probably resell it for 175 or 200K and make a quick buck. So instead of taking us up on our offer, which would have allowed them to stay there, they now have to find a new place to live. And that can be very daunting, especially in today's market. Home prices are as high as ever, rents are as high as ever. And this is another reason why I'm making this, is because I've learned that if I can help someone stay in their home, that is usually much better. Even if you got cash for your home, that cash may not buy you the same type of property that you're currently in. And so I wish they had taken us up on our offer, but they didn't. Now, again, why would we offer that? Well, here's the thing, guys. Here's the bottom line. This is how much they owed. They owed $10,572.81. I said, pay me between 100 and 200 bucks a month. And I think what happened was when I presented that offer, it sounded too good to be true. Because she was like, 100, 200 bucks, that doesn't make sense. Well, here's why I would offer that. If they would have been open to paying me $133 a month, let's just say 134 to round it up, and they did that for the next 30 years, because that's how long I was willing to wait. Well, look how much I'm making. I'm making 15% a year on my $10,000 investment. That is a very good return. It's better than the stock market. If I put 10,000 in the stock market, I'm lucky to get 10% a year. And so this is why, guys, this is just an example, but like, understand, like, I am benefiting as well. We are benefiting from offering our help. Like a 15% return on my money is a great return. But it's a win-win as well, because if they had accepted the offer, they would have also been able to stay in their property. Okay. So hopefully this makes sense. This is why, I mean, that's a good return. Homeowner stays. We try to create a win-win. You benefit, we benefit. If it's not a win-win, no point in working together. Now, some of you may be looking at this and be like, well, you're taking advantage of their situation. Okay. If that's your thoughts, then we just aren't a good fit and we shouldn't work together in any way, shape, or form. Because what's the alternative for this person? Well, now they just lost their home. Now they have to go find a new home. They have to go rent somewhere. If they couldn't pay back the 10,000, do you think they'll be able to buy a new home? Do you think they'll be able to find a decent place to rent for what they are paying? This HOA payment was $400 a month. They didn't have any other mortgage or any other payments. Where are they going to find another place to rent for $400 a month? This is in Florida. So in my opinion, I think my offer was better than the alternative, which was them having their house sold. If you think I'm taking advantage of people, that's fine. You are entitled to your opinion. Just turn off this presentation now. I am simply trying to provide options for people. If somebody doesn't want options, then they should turn off this presentation now. If somebody doesn't want to know what's available or just know the opportunities that may exist for them, then they should turn off this presentation now. Hopefully that makes sense, guys. I'm simply trying to help solve a problem. The problem is what? The auction. So if we can eliminate the problem, and it's a win for you, then one should be compensated for the solution. If we can create a win-win scenario, that's what matters. And that's why we do this. Now, if you can find other solutions, I hope, like, if you find better solutions, take them. You don't need our solutions. We are just presenting them so that you know what's available. Now, everyone's scenario is going to be different. This is just an example that I shared with you, but everyone's case is going to be different. Okay. So it's depending on your situation is what will determine the offer that we make. Okay. Now, if your property does sell to does sell at auction, if it does go to tax sale, if it does go to foreclosure, reach out to us. There may be money available to recover for you. Okay. So this is our primary business, is we actually help folks recover funds after an auction. So the good thing about this case study is, because they didn't have a mortgage, because the 10,000 was the only thing that they owed, well, there's roughly 140,000 to recover here. Now it's going to take hiring an attorney and going through a court procedure to recoup those funds. Okay, because you have to petition for the funds. They don't just send you a check. You have to go through a court process. So what we do for our clients is, we'll do this process for them. We'll hire the attorney, we'll pay all the fees and the expenses, and then we'll just take a commission on the back end. We always give the majority of the funds to the homeowner. Okay. They always get the majority. We're talking like 70, 80% of the funds. Okay. They usually get. So if you have a property that has sold, or if you watch this and you're not able to postpone the auction and it does go, feel free to reach out to us as well. Take a picture of this. Here's our website, overagerefunds.com. I can probably, what I'll do is I'll just show you real quick. Been in business since, I've been doing this since 2014. I started out part-time as a prison guard and then transferred full-time 2016. Okay. And, we've helped quite a few people in that time. So I will show you real quick, just a couple examples of folks that we've helped. If my computer will work. For whatever reason. My internet just died. All right. There we go. So this is our website. You can see we're BBB accredited with A+ rating. These are some of the people. You can read some of the reviews, and these are some of the people we've helped. This is not all of them, but these are kind of the amounts of the funds that we've recovered for folks. Okay, so sometimes it's small, sometimes it's large. Overage refund specialist. That's my ugly mug if you're interested to see what I look like. So if you have gone through, if your property does go to an auction, tax sale, foreclosure, whatever, check out this website, check out this quick 15-minute video. It explains the entire process. Okay. So that's only if your property does go to auction. That's our main core business. All right. And that's pretty much it, guys. That's pretty much concludes this presentation. What do you do now? If you'd like to speak with me or someone and talk about your situation and see what options are available, shoot me an email or a text. Just put in the subject line auction consultation. It's completely free. Shoot me a text. There's my number, or shoot me an email, and just include the following info. Put your name, let me know who you are, and then the name of any owners of the property, any title holders, and then just the address of the property that has an auction date coming up. If you don't have an auction date, but you are in some sort of, if it's in pre-foreclosure or it is delinquent on back taxes, would still love to talk with you. Happy to help in any way I can. But yeah, that's pretty much it, guys. Pretty simple. Again, this is just simply to educate and to inform. If we can help in any way, happy to do so. If we can't help, but we can refer you to someone else, happy to do so. Just want to create some sort of win-win. Here's the bottom line. Foreclosure auctions, tax sale auctions, they should never happen, in my opinion. but they do happen simply because either lack of knowledge or just somebody procrastinates and they don't take action. They simply, put their head in the sand and say, whatever happens, happens. And then they end up losing a property. And it's unfortunate, but it happens every day. And so hopefully it will happen less by educating folks through this presentation. And that's it. Thank you guys for watching. Hope you have a great day.